Welcome back to Geeks and Grounds, a monthly game club where we play games and brew good conversation together. My name is Jenny Wyndham.
And I'm Joel Thomas.
And, gosh, we've got an interesting month up ahead. I'm excited.
I've heard November is often considered the most interesting month.
Really?
Yeah, there's like
Rumor on the street.
There's a long storied history of November just being a really interesting month.
Yeah.
Get in the comments if you've heard the same. Like, love to know why.
For those who are joining us for the first time, welcome. We don't just talk about how cool different months are. We do like to discuss games, and so we're happy to have you here with us. If you haven't signed up for the club's newsletter, that's at geeksandgrounds.com. And if you are a returning member of the club, we are glad to have you back with us. Thank you for those who have been leaving reviews on Apple and Spotify. Seeing the little 5 stars makes my heart so happy. And we really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, we'd appreciate it if you did. But yeah, we have an interesting month this month, not just because it's November, the storied, interesting month that we all know and love. But
Historically, yeah.
historically. But because Joel and I have a lot of stuff happening this month, some really cool stuff happening. And we decided as a result, and as a combination of a few other factors that came in that we'll talk about further, that it'd be good for us to just switch it up a little bit. But first, I see you held up your drink, Joel. What are you going to be enjoying as we relax in our conversation today?
Yes, just cheersing to the 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
I'm still drinking down that pu'er tea that I talked about last week. My goodness, it's so good. If any of you ended up ordering some, I'd love to know what you thought of it. Maybe I should put a link to that in one of a link to a website where you can find this tea sometime.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, and y'all, if you happen to be a purveyor of tea, sponsor us. We love tea. We love coffee.
Welcome to Geeks and Leaves, everybody. We're
Yeah.
we're a tea-based podcast. That's the big change.
I did bring the grounds today. It's a basic Americano, nothing too special, but I did bring grounds today instead of leaves, because today was a busy work day and I needed caffeine and coffee to sustain me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think for those of you who listened, last week I was at TwitchCon. This week, since I was working over the weekend, I started my week on Wednesday instead of Tuesday, which completely has thrown off all of my planning and sense of calm. I have felt especially chaotic this week in doing all of my tasks because everything, like mentally, I'm still on Tuesday and Monday and everyone else is basically on Friday. So
but it's like chaotic good. You're like chaotic good.
Yeah, I'd like to think it's chaotic good. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So what we like to do is before we kick off with the month's brew, the official what we're all playing together, we like to stop by the pastry case. This is our grab bag of topics that have to do with the industry, news, launches, and also what we've been playing, reading, and consuming that isn't necessarily video games. Before we get into what we've been playing, reading, and watching, we wanted to talk about the new format this month because Joel and I, first of all, are going to be out of town. We get to take a really cool trip to Japan. I'm so excited. And that's going to be 2 weeks. And so since we're going to be out for 2 weeks, we needed to figure out, okay, what are we going to do with that?
What is possible? What
is possible? Yeah. And while we did have a game that was in the works that we want to do, and we'll probably do sometime in the future, just circumstances, we thought it would be best to save that game for later. Honestly, I honestly would just like to be around the whole month to be able to fully enjoy it, but also to just really allow that game to have the full conversation that we're hoping to have with it. And so instead, we decided to switch it up.
In addition, for those who hang with us, there's talk at this point of doing a recording from Japan. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see if we can pull it off. But
we will do our best.
we're gonna see what's possible.
Yes. Yeah. as folks who are familiar know, this is absolutely, especially at this point in time, this is a labor of love, a passion project. We're trying to make it as best as we can. And so, yeah, we'll just keep you posted. And this is a good chance to say, hey, if you're not in the Discord, that's probably the best way to stay in touch with like all of the most up-to-date things that are happening. If there are any shifts, changes, the Discord is probably the first place that we'll know. Try to communicate it everywhere, but that's just a nice little plug for the Discord there.
Hop in. It's also like great conversation in between episodes and after we get the newsletters out. It's always so fun getting to hear from people and their experiences with the games.
Yeah. So what is this month going to look like? Okay. Where to start? This all came to me, honestly, in a walk as I was like today, as I was walking and pondering and thinking through things. I've been sort of pondering it all month, but the walk really crystallized it. So y'all take a good afternoon walk if you ever need to just let things like ruminate in your brain. The current format of Geeks and Grounds is 1 game a month, so 12 games a year that I have been curating. And I love curating these titles, but I also really appreciate the feedback that y'all have given and the ways that you have advocated for games. And those that has impacted selections already. You all have suggested games that we have done, and I am so happy for that. And so I wanted to make that a little bit more intentional. So for this month, we're going to be doing a little bit of a ranked choice voting curatorial moment where you all will have an opportunity to nominate games for next year. We'll have 6 selections from these nominees, and you'll all vote for them. And whichever ones are the top 6 will be games for next year. I won't say exactly when. I'll have to look into see where they fit. And then the remainder 6 games of the year are the ones that I will reserve the right to curate, because honestly, that's just very fun for me.
Unless we get a whole bunch of Bodie McBoat faces, in which case,
sure,
it'll just be Bodie McBoat face all year long.
Exactly.
That's the one exception.
So what we'll be doing November is we'll have 1 game that we play very casually, very chill, super chill November. We'll still have a spoiler cast as we do, but it'll just be a little bit sooner in the month before Joel and I leave for Japan. And the remainder of the month is going to be spent voting for next year's titles, for 6 of next year's titles. Week 1, which is this week, if you're listening to this podcast as it drops, voting or nominations have commenced. You'll be able to nominate your favorite games for consideration, games that you want to play. Really don't let yourself feel too limited by what you feel like we should or shouldn't play in terms of what's a Geeks and Grounds game. We've had these discussions before. Nominate games that you want to play. Weeks 2 through 4, we will all vote as a community. And again, with ranked choice voting, you don't have to pick one title to win. You get to rank the titles that have been nominated in order of what you want to win. And so this allows for the sort of true, favorites to really
the best representation of general consensus that we are capable of providing as people.
Exactly. Yes. And so this will allow you all, your voices will be heard in this. What you vote for will impact what we play next year. And what we'll do is after we play our monthly brew, is for the last 2 episodes of the month, Joel and I, while we're in Japan, will go through those top games that have been nominated, selected, and really just highlight them for you so that we can talk about what we're excited to play next year. Yeah. Anything I'm missing, Joel? I feel like
I just want to actually come back to your point about the importance of walking. I had a really bad day, and as I was walking, there was this golden retriever that walked by me, and he stopped and booped me and then smiled at me. And it was what a day changer, if you will.
Yeah. Again, walks are great things. Exactly. Go on walks. So look to the newsletter and the Discord for the link to nominate your game. I think that's it. Everything else, again, sign up for the newsletter. That's the best way to get all the info. And I'll put the link to the newsletter in the show notes as well. I think that would probably be helpful. And I'm saying it out loud, so when I listen to the editing, I will remind myself. Yay, future Jenny. Hello. So On to, I was going to say the fun stuff, but honestly, I think the nominations is fun. I'm
Yeah, we're
excited.
super
I'm excited.
excited.
I cannot wait to see what people choose and advocate for the club.
Mario 64, Star Fox 64, Wave Race 64. Like, I'm just so stoked, y'all.
I will say, while it's good to vote for or nominate whatever you want, do try to keep in mind a little bit accessibility. Can we get it? If it's only available on like an emulator,
Yeah.
maybe it's not the best fit. But yes, Mario
Yeah.
64
So
isn't
math
it?
blasters, number
Yeah.
munchers, Oregon
Original Oregon
Trail.
Trail. Yeah.
Yeah.
um
Oh man.
But yeah, what have you been up to besides deciding about voting stuff with me, Joel?
In addition, I'm gonna start with an us moment.
Yeah.
In addition to Jenny's chaotic week, last night we went to go see Hozier live in concert here in
Hell
Portland.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a show. I couldn't get over it. Like we were just first of all, apologies. We were like in the very top section in the furthest away point from the
Do not
stage.
apologize for taking me to like one of the best shows I've been to in my life, please.
Jenny brought binoculars and I was like, "Oh my god, I can actually like see the stubble on his face as Andrew sang to us." It was just an absolutely incredible show. I've been so enjoying the Unearth album. It's
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who don't know, it's kind of a story of a relationship, but he ties it to Dante's Inferno and going through the 9 layers of hell, and it's just incredible. So if you're looking for an album to get into, that's what I recommend. And if you're looking for a concert to go to, hop on it. It is an incredible show.
I will say the tour immediately after getting home, I was like, where is he going next? And can I squeeze another show in somehow? Can I visit somewhere before the tour is done? Congratulations to Hozier. The show is sold out pretty much everywhere. Yeah, there
Oh,
was like tickets available for Sweden. So if anyone's in Sweden, pick up those tickets, y'all. But yeah, I will say, so Joel, you're much more of a concert goer than I am. You are much more of a regular in the scene. You know music much more than I do. I have like certain artists I will kind of fixate on. I don't really go to shows, but I do love music, but I think about it mostly from a choreographer perspective. And that's kind of it. Going to a show live. God, I was telling Joel as we left, it was such an out of body experience to hear this music live and to hear the whole arena of people singing along. And I took some video clips. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, probably saw them. I like watched them back as soon as we got home, and I got choked up watching back the clips, just thinking about how good the show was. It was so simple in terms of like they just had this amazing light projection and like one big prop thing that kind of went up and down, but it was so beautiful. I
yeah.
can't speak highly enough, and the album is great. It's very, very good.
The other thing, and I think like we were talking about this after the show, is uh near the end, before the last song, he thanked every single person by name, not just the band, the sound mixers, the lighting specialists, the guitar techs, the mic techs, like
Mhm.
every single person that was that was part of his crew, that was part of the production. He took the time to thank them by name. I
Yeah.
was like, I've probably easily been to like 1,000 shows in my life at this point, and like I have never seen an artist do that. I was just completely blown away. So, I mean, just in terms of taking care of the people that are making what you do possible, it was just it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah. It was such a good show. I think I'm very excited for the next time he tours. I will be getting floor tickets. I will be there in the front row. I'll fight someone to get in the front row, or I'll
I'm
gently push
sorry,
folks
Jenny. I'm
away.
so
No,
sorry.
no, it's the best way. Cause honestly, I was talking to Sam before going, and I was like, because I actually didn't know it was in the Moda Center.
Oh,
I
okay.
literally was like, I don't know where we're going. And then until you told me, I was like, I have no idea. And so I was talking to Sam about how I'm so old. And I'm like, I don't want to have to stand for like 3-4 hours. My knees are going to hurt. I'm already tired because I've been at TwitchCon walking back and forth from the strip back,
Hmm.
to my hotel. But yeah, so I was actually very happy we had seats. So that was great.
Excellent. Yeah, next time we gotta be on the floor so we can groove. It was such a groovy show. So
Yeah. Oh my
check
gosh.
it out.
So what's incredible is Hozier's album inspired by Dante's Inferno. This is a month, I think, for even though the album didn't launch this month. This is a month for literary fans melding in with like pop culture
Oh, get
because
it.
we have another thing that both of us have been watching that inspired by and draws from Poe's work, Edgar Allan Poe, called Fall of the House of Usher, which is on Netflix. I binged it in 2 days because it was
I
so good.
am I'm locked in the purgatory of like needing to get schedules to align with Lee in order to like watch the show.
No.
But yeah, I think you how did you describe it last night? You like
Oh, yes. I said if you put Succession and Edgar Allan Poe in a blender, and what is the guy's name, the director? He's like super famous. Um, Here, let me look up.
oh,
I'm like,
he
basically,
does
this
those like
dude.
Netflix. He has like the Netflix spooky show or
y-
creepy show like every year.
Yeah, it's like William something. Because he did House of Blythe Manor, I think is what it calls, Midnight Mass, which I didn't watch. So now I'm like, I
Oh,
should watch it.
Midnight Mass is like a person with religious baggage is one of the most terrifying
Ooh. Uh,
terrifying like horror shows I've ever seen.
Mike Flanagan is his name.
Mike playing again. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, Mike put Succession and Edgar Allan Poe in a blender, stirred it all up, poured it over modern day America, and this is the show. It is incredible. And I won't say too much more about what happens specifically because I know you haven't finished it yet.
Thank you.
But for any fan of any horror stories, but specifically Poe's work, he blends a lot of Poe's most notable horror short stories and weaves them through the show in a way that's faithful to I feel like their intent and a lot of their themes, but doesn't copy them verbatim, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, I think so. I'm only a couple episodes in, and the first one definitely like sets the stage and like
Mm-hmm.
feels very Succession-y. Now that you mentioned that, and the second episode was just, like almost entirely like one of the short stories being retold in the context of Succession.
Mm-hmm.
I was yeah, I am just like very very into it, and I'm pumped to hopefully wrap it up this weekend. That's my goal.
Yeah. I will say I thought, and I'm interested to see what you think. I thought the episodes got stronger as they went on. My favorite two were the final two episodes. So I thought that
Oh,
the way that they developed the characters and the pacing was really good. I think like some of them were a bit weaker than others. I think in any kind of anthology-esque series that's going to happen, but whew, the last two really went out like with the exact bang that I wanted. And so very very excited. And I think for those who are curious, there are some really good, I don't think it's anything too profound like, oh my gosh, this changed what I was thinking, but it really pokes at the people that I feel like you want to poke at. Like if you ever watched Succession and you were like, oh, why is this show like about these people that we hate? And I wish things that weren't good happened to them, like
yeah.
watch this show. This show, The Fall of the House of Usher, will give you a bit more of that sense of hope that justice could be served, even though this is in a fantasy world and we probably
Spoilers:
won't see it.
the house will indeed fall. Like,
Yeah, that's
uh,
in the title.
yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
man, and so I've also been, consuming I just, like, completely tore through, Gen V, which is a
Hmm.
spinoff from The Boys, kinda superhero show on Amazon. It is one of the most interesting superhero shows I've seen in a long time, like, definitely, like,
Hmm.
the gory, gross, weird stuff that The Boys carried through, but it's, like, a coming of age, like you're going to a superhero college story. And so I don't know, it felt really fresh, and I'm really digging it. And then also on Prime has been The Wheel of Time season 2, which I didn't even know was releasing. And my friend was like, "Oh, I finished it," and I was like, "I didn't know it was out," but really enjoying it. So if you're a Wheel of Time person, so far I've thought season 2 is even better than season 1, so would recommend.
I'm happy that you reminded me of it because I really enjoyed the Wheel of Time series when I was younger. Like that was one of the first ginormous fantasy series I read as a kid. I'm like shocked that looking back, I'm like, dang, I read that in like middle and high school. What? But I'm excited to watch it because I remember when season 1 came out and I was like, I'm going to wait till it's done. And then I forgot about it. So yeah, I'm going to watch both of those. You sold me on Gen V too. I'm notoriously not a superhero movie person, but I'm like, give me twisted superhero stories. And I think I'm more into that.
This is like, what if, I don't know, Amazon owned a superhero formula? What would actually happen in the real world? And it plays out exactly as horribly as you would expect. So yeah.
You sold it to me. I'm like, give me that dystopic. I don't get enough of it in reality. I want it in my media too.
Yeah, absolutely. We deserve more dystopia.
Right. Oh, sad.
Sorry, I am going to plug one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of dystopia, I know that you're also a fan of the McElroys.
Mm-hmm.
They have a show called The Adventure Zone, which is like an RPG based podcast that they do. And they released an episode this week, which is they invented an RPG called Enter the Dadlands, where it's a dystopia future where only dads, like stereotypical dads, like sports dad, barbecue dad, Disney dad exist, and they make their way through there. And it's hosted by my favorite, Brennan Lee Mulligan. And the first episode in a long time, dropped this week, and it has been great. So more dystopia if you want some.
Dad dystopia. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I haven't listened to, I went through a phase, like, especially it was like 2020 where I listened to the McElroys like every day. And then it was kind of funny. Well, maybe not funny, but I thought it was funny because you could feel them be kind of sad at the world. And I was just like, I can't listen to them because they're sad, which makes me sad. And I'm listening to them to try and not be sad. So I had to stop for a little bit, but I have started getting back into it because I'm like, okay, I can listen to it now. And I don't get like the tangential, we all know the world is burning and ending in a lot of different ways. And so it's just nice to like step back from it with media sometimes. I was like, I can't do it. I need podcast time to be happy.
Totally get it.
Oh my
totally
gosh.
Get it. What else have you been into?
Okay. So last week I mentioned Goodnight World, anime on Netflix. I finished it.
And that's all I have to say about it.
That's all I have to really say about it. I think if you're looking for something short, sweet, that you can watch and not necessarily pay full attention to and still understand what's happening, that's definitely a good one. Do I think it's one of the greatest shows I've ever watched? No. It was pretty predictable. The dialogue got a bit tiring after the third episode where I was like, okay, they're leaning too hard into something. Like the writing feels very just like... they're just, the character felt, I don't know, not quite lazily done, but just, I felt like there could have been more that they should have, like, I wish they explored. But if you're looking for a good, like, sword art online, like, where if you enjoy stories about people going into a virtual world and how that blends into the real world, I'd say go for it. I'm a sucker for that kind of story, so I will always watch something that does that. But yeah, it's 3 out of 5 stars. It's fine.
Oh, all right. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Honestly, I like a fine anime, and it was 10 to 12 episodes. It was short, so I appreciated being able to finish it, which is more than you can say.
Love me a concise anime.
Yeah, more than you can say for a lot of shows. Don't worry, I will start Jujutsu Kaisen at some point soon.
Oh, what? I'm so interesting that you brought that up completely out of the blue, unprompted, because I asked you about it last night. So
don't you worry.
I watched today's ep. It was fire.
Oh my gosh. I do know I need to get in on it now because it is at the point where I can catch up.
It's true.
Um, that is a very highly motivating factor. But yeah, I haven't really done a whole lot else. Been playing a lot of games. By the time, let me check the date. Yes, by the time this podcast is out, the embargo will have lifted, so I can talk about this game. I have been playing this game called Je Sens. That's very, very good. So yeah, I highly recommend it if you like Journey, sort of that meditative aspect of Journey. If you like Celeste, if you like games with climbing in it, but no Bennett Foddy. This is no like, let me challenge you until you are crying tears of rage. This is really relaxing climbing, and a very, very beautiful story along with it. So
What was the thing that you said about what was the word that you said before saying like it's not challenging and gonna make you cry with rage?
Bennett Foddy.
What is that?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Bennett Foddy is a game that came out years ago at this point. Let me look up. And Bennett Foddy, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, is the name of the developer. Let me bring this up just so I say it correctly. Yes, Bennett Foddy is an Australian video game designer based in New York. So he is known for creating a game called Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy that is probably one of the most intentionally frustratingly designed games. You play this, I think it's like this dude in a cauldron with just arms to propel you forward. You have like a sledgehammer or anvil, and you just like use your arms to climb a mountain. And the whole game is you trying to climb the mountain and the physics working entirely against you the whole time. It is known for being one of the most frustrating games out there, simply because the game works against you pretty much every step of the way.
I think I'm gonna adopt that type of framing for any art that I put out. So like the next time I release, I put a song up that I've recorded.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, this is intentionally not amazing. And that's part of my artistic process and journey that I want to take you on.
Honestly, we should maybe consider doing a short, like maybe one of the other short months doing Bennett Foddy just to try it. Okay, it came out in December 2017, and the Steam description for it is a game I made for a certain kind of person to hurt them. So this sort of tongue-in-cheek, punishing game, I think I think could be worth some interesting discussion. So maybe let's put that. If anyone wants to nominate it, go ahead for next year.
Bodie McBoatface, Bennett Foddy. That's what we're looking for.
Yep, exactly.
Mario 64.
Yeah. And just to finish out the pastry case, we have other launches besides Je Sens. Je Sens came out October 31st, the day this podcast drops. This Bed We Made is coming out November 1st. Thirsty Suitors is coming out November 2nd. I am so excited for Thirsty Suitors. Oh my gosh, this is a game that's like, Joel, you would love this. What's the one with the cult classic that everyone loves to talk about? The game, or not the game, the movie where in the comic book where there's the dude who has all the exes who like comes
Scott
for him.
Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim. Thirsty Suitors is like Scott Pilgrim but Indian. And it's about this woman named Chala, I think, and she has to return home and confront all of her exes and like reconcile with her past, essentially.
This is so
as she moves in back with her parents, who are kind of overbearing and like very stereotypical, in that, like, the way that they're just like, you need to find someone to get married to, you need to get your life in order. Yeah. I'm so excited. And it's created by, it's created by a really outstanding team. So very, very much looking forward to that one. And the Talos Principle 2 comes out November 2nd. So for fans of puzzle games, that's going to be quite a fun puzzle game. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds puzzling.
Yeah. As always, if you have questions, comments, email us at jenny@geeksgrounds.com. I think that's it for the pastry case. Are you ready for this month's brew?
So ready.
So this one's a shorter game. Well, actually, I don't think it's a shorter game, but we're doing it for 2 weeks, primarily because of the reasons we mentioned before. This week, we're going to intro it. Next week is the spoiler cast. So if you want to take the whole month to play it, great. Just know that next week we'll have the spoiler cast and you can save it for whenever you're done. But we will be playing a puzzle game, speaking of puzzle games, named Cocoon.
Cocoon.
Cozy. Cocoon. I don't know. When I say a game is named Cocoon, what do you think of?
I first think of the movie Cocoon, where aliens come and replace a bunch of old people with aliens as old people. And the second thing I think of is butterflies. Is that the answer you're hoping for?
No, I wasn't hoping for anything in particular. I was just excited to see what came to mind. So Cocoon is hold on.
What?
Autoplay started moving. Cocoon is a game by Annapurna Interactive, and from the developer or the lead gameplay designer of Limbo and Inside. So if you are familiar with those two indie games, they're some of my favorites, like, ever. Highly recommend if you haven't played them. Maybe use this month to also hop into those. Those are also like maybe 6-hour games, 4 to 6 hour games, quite short. Cocoon is another short title, but this one is very different from Jep Carlson's other titles. I almost want to just watch the trailer with you first.
Yeah, I think you should do it because you've screen frozen on a very like Ionic image.
Yeah.
And I'm super interested to see the context of this.
Here. All right, let me restart it. And you can still see it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's go. We're going to watch the trailer and react to it.
I'm immediately getting reboot vibes.
Oh, I didn't even think of that's a good call.
Wow, look at the lighting in this game.
The use of color is really good.
Wow, yeah. Okay, so we're running around like the hexagon structure of a soccer ball. Oh, wow. Okay, so the like geometry of this is so like intentionally feels like that like late 90s early 2000s 3D animation styling of like cartoons in that time period.
Yeah, I did not make that connection until you mentioned it. And that's definitely an inspiration. I feel like it has to be an inspiration. Cocoon.
We keep picking games that are inspired by Reboot.
Honestly,
that needs to be a pour over material.
What isn't inspired by Reboot at this point? You know what I mean? It's like we were born in Reboot, bred in Reboot. What is the Bane what is that line? I was
you merely adopted the reboot. I was born and it's molded by it. Oh my goodness. I actually saw a Reboot clip on TikTok this week. It was like the moment that scarred us as children, and it's like a later season when Bob tries to interrupt Dot from getting married to the Bob clone, and then it turns out that it was what was the bad guy's name? The big jaw. I can't remember. In any case, he was the one that was actually Bob. So the fact that this keeps coming up in my life is shocking.
Some sort of sign. I feel like at some point we just need to we need to find it and do like a group watch. So that's Cocoon. I think you highlighted so many things that are going to be really important just to like notice the geometry of it. This is a game that has a lot of bugs. So if you are really or bug-like creatures, I guess they're not overtly like bugs that we would recognize like in real life, but they're definitely inspired by like lots of different creepy crawly creatures that if you are super squeamish about it, I would say maybe look at the screenshots, maybe give some other of the trailers a try, watch it, because I think maybe if you're like really not into bugs, the sounds and the skittering may be a bit much depending on your level of tolerance. But
It kind of gives me like bugs in the same way that Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind has
mhm.
bugs, but they're like these giant things and like inspired by bugs kind of thing.
Right. They're a bit more mechanized almost. Like everything in
Yeah.
here looks a bit more mechanical than you would anticipate it and less organic, which for me that helped because I really don't like a lot of bugs in games. But I personally found this very okay and quite beautiful in a lot of ways. The Steam description just says from Jeb Carlson, the lead gameplay designer of Limbo Inside. And inside, Cocoon takes you on an adventure across worlds within worlds. Master world leaping mechanics and solve intricate puzzles to unravel a cosmic mystery. And I didn't mention this earlier, but it's developed by Geometric Interactive and published by Annapurna Interactive. So for Cocoon, the thing that I think was a bit hard to tell in the trailer, or maybe actually you can let me know if you could tell, is that whole worlds within worlds mechanic. The little marble that you see the bug holding and running around with actually is something that you can jump into and out of. And so, okay, do you remember Men in Black? Like OG Men in
Yes.
Black?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Do you remember? I forget if it's in 1 or 2. I'm pretty sure it's in 1 where the aliens have the marble and it has the universe inside and they like put it in their marble like game or whatever and they flick it and it's
Mhm.
like we're all in a game of the universe of alien marbles. That's what this reminds me of, where you have this marble filled with a universe. You can hop in and out of it, and you can put other marbles of universes inside it, and you can pull them out. And so that's where you have this universe within universe mind bending mechanic, and you have to solve puzzles using these universes to solve the puzzles.
That is so interesting. And honestly, like I have been watching these like GIFs, yes, I say GIF, uh on repeat while you've been talking. And until you described that this I'm seeing like the mechanism for moving between worlds, I would not have been able to tell that's what was going on.
Yeah. Oh,
It's just such a beautiful design. It reminds me of like the way Ratchet and Clank, the newest one on when PS5 dropped, kind of let you move between
yeah.
dimensions to get to places. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting from this.
Oh my
It looks
gosh, I love that.
seamless.
It's it is beautiful. I think one thing that folks can anticipate when playing is that you will constantly have these moments where you stop and you're just like, this is so polished and stunning. The reason I
Oh,
picked this because we have this 2 week window where we're playing a game before we go out for our trip, and I was like, what game do I think everyone should play, especially before we start talking about game of the year conversations in December? And this is one of those games where I feel like it's been out for a few weeks. It's been out since the end of September. Not nearly enough people are talking about how good this game is. It
ooh.
is so good, and it's one of those that I think should be on everyone's at least consideration list for one of the top games out there this year. Um, which I'd be interested to see. Maybe you all disagree with me, and I would love to hear it. Let me know as you play.
Get in the
Um,
comments and tell Jenny how much you hate her recommendations. Yeah.
exactly. Um, so I think this is one that I'm really looking forward to playing. It's also one going off of, again, the feedback that we had 2 months ago was, hey, let's explore ways that games tell stories and develop worlds without narrative.
Mm.
Bramble didn't have a ton of reading, but it did have narrator. This game has no text and no dialogue.
Oh, interesting. At all.
So, at all. So, what's going to be really cool is to see what you all think as you play in terms of how the design works in its favor, how the design doesn't. What are you left feeling confused about versus what do you feel like you understand really clearly, not simply with the mechanics, but with the story too. So, yeah.
I'm pumped. I am so excited for this. I love a good puzzle game, and this looks exactly like the speed of puzzle game I like. So
Yes,
eager to
I
dive in.
cannot wait. um Normally, I ask if you have like predictions for the story. I'm wondering, this one's maybe a bit hard to predict because there's like not a whole lot that the trailer gives you. And I feel like there's not a ton that the Steam page really gives you. But do you
Mm.
have predictions for the story?
So one of my favorite elements of like multiversal hopping, dimension hopping type things is
Mm-hmm.
getting to explore ruins of different societies. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're definitely seeing as you look at these images like architecture, design work that feels like different beings created these different places. And so I think for me, maybe less predictions, more it's like what am I excited about? If I love getting to explore architecture and work like that from different like civilizations, and so I'm hoping there's a healthy dose of that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very excited. I think you're gonna enjoy this one. Um and yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. Um Trying to think if there's anything else. No, I'm just looking forward to this one. I played it once. For folks who may be curious, it took me about 3.5, 4 hours, I would say, to complete it. So know that you probably can get it done within one session. Maybe two, depending on like how much you really love the puzzles or if you need like a little bit of a brain break. So anticipate it going by relatively quickly. Also, I think there were a couple of points in which it does end up being pretty challenging, but most of it is not. I think this is one of those puzzle games that really benefits when you take your time and like observe the world. But know that it's not super, super challenging. I wouldn't call this like The Witness or, any number of like really, really hard puzzle games out there. I think it's designed personally, I think it's designed with a pretty good flow in mind. So don't
Well,
be
that's
intimidated if you're not a puzzle
key.
person.
We've discussed this on this podcast. We take no pride in being able to figure things out without having to look it up. Like I look up things online all the time when I'm
Yeah.
playing games. It's like back in the day when you had your little like gamer guide magazine that you get for your for your game.
Yeah, or
That's how I
that
think about it.
toll-free number that you could call and ask for hints. It wasn't
Yeah, I
toll-free.
never got to do that.
Well, there was a number that wasn't free. It was like the Nintendo Power Hotline,
Yeah.
and I
Yep.
called it once. My mom did not want me to do that, and I got in
Rough
big
times.
trouble. So yeah, don't worry about doing that though, because we've got the internet now, folks.
Yeah, I remember when the internet became like a thing in my life, and like how many Angel Fire websites did I go to look up
Oh
cheat
my
codes for video
gosh.
games back in the day?
Yeah, gamefaqs.com. And like that, honestly, we could do a whole just discussion on the power of game FAQs and how people who formatted those things, like, I don't know what it's called, but when you use like the backslashes to create like the logo art and stuff, if anyone knows, please let me know if you know what that's called. But basically, the ways that people put their heart and souls into making these just ginormous text documents that were walkthroughs, y'all carried me through Final Fantasy VIII. I printed those beasts out and I would like highlight and take notes on them. And my mom would get so mad because it would take like 50 pages of printer paper. It was like books getting printed out. Those were the
Ugh,
days.
so good. Yeah, I'm eager. So yeah, if you guys get stuck, yeah, look at the games. Look online.
Yeah.
Find some hints.
Yeah, no shame there. Cool. I think that is it for this month's brew. Again, we are playing Cocoon. So we didn't mention the platforms. Probably should do that. Fortunately, Cocoon, if you are a Game Pass person, it is on Game Pass, so you can
Hey.
enjoy it there as a part of your subscription. But it's also on Steam, PlayStation, Switch. You can purchase it on Xbox if you want it to own. So you have a bevy of places to pick for this game.
Uh,
And I think
in
that's
light of a bevy of places to get this game,
it. Hmm.
may you enjoy a bevy of beverages as you move through and puzzle with us this month.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.